Hey T's, how's it going? Mr. Cortez here. Show you guys a couple of simple instructions and help you get started in your understanding of PLC. So I'm going to make a video just showing some examples of what a normally open contact, normally close, how they work, how to integrate outputs to be able to turn the different outputs that we have on the PLC. And then I'll go over timers and counters, right? So there's definitely a lot of things to learn with PLC. But we will start with a couple of basic concepts and show you how to use it in different ways for you to get a foundation to further your understanding coming out of this program. So first off, we should go over the different buttons on the PLC, right? So on the PLC that we have here in in lab, we have three push buttons and one selector switch. Okay, so the push button green one is a normally open button. So normally it's not closing. It's a momentary button as well. So it's only while you press it. X002, and that is the tag. So that's what we're going to insert in our PLC program. That's a normally closed button, right? So normally it's connected together until you push it, then it stops. Once you let it go, it goes to close again. X003 is also normally open, just like X001. And X004 is a toggle on or off. Okay, so that is not a that is a maintained contact, right? So it's off when it's off, it's on when it's on. Okay, so as far as the outputs, right, we have four lights. Y001 is green, Y002 is red, Y003 is yellow, and Y00 is 4, right? So with the previous videos, hopefully you've seen that it's not just limited to these lights that you can, through the use of relays, you can control fans, you can control motors, you can control pumps, you can control many different things, anything electrical from something like this PLC setup. All right, so let me share my screen and I've been sharing it here in the program already. So hopefully you guys are watching here on the on the screen of the PLC. So this is when you first open up the program. It's called Click PLC Programming Software. So the cool thing, it's free. You can download it from their website. You don't have to have the PLC to start practicing some programming. Um, and again, this is, excuse me, designed for you to just have an initial understanding, right? For then to take off on your own. So first, I'm going to start with how an example of how a normally open contact works, right? And how to write it into the PLC program and execute it, and how you can easily change the programming. So first we'll start off with a normally open. And right here, when it asks bit memory address, right, that's the X001 that we discussed with the green button. And now we're going to do an output, which is right here, coil out, and drop that here on the right. Outputs results always on the right, inputs on the left. So right here, the bit memory address, we're going to have Y001, which is going to be the green light, right? That's going to be turned on once the logic is completed, right? With this PLC program, you have to always put an end to where you're done programming, right? So some PLC ladder logic programs could be hundreds of lines, but you always have to put an end on the very last one because the PLC has to know when to stop scanning, right? So now we got this basic program. Let's go ahead and write it. So we're going to click here, write to project. And right here, it's going to connect to your PLC. And you're just going to click OK. And it's always going to do this. So we want to click yes. Make sure it's downloading to the PLC. Transfer complete. And it's going to go back into run mode. So now what you want to do is you want to turn on the status bit so you can see in real time what's happening here, right? So this bit is not activated. So now when I press the green button, you can see that green light turns on, and at the same time, you'll see the logic in the PLC program also follows what's going on with the real life input and with the output. Okay, so, and let me show you real quick, just so you get a better view. So now I'll show you guys how to program using that same function, how to program a couple of different things. So now let's say that we want to switch the light, right? Now we want the red light to turn on. So that's going to be just as easy as selecting that out bit and pressing, now changing it to Y002, pressing OK. Right here, you're going to write the project to the PLC and OK. Yes. Remember, these steps are always going to be the same set of steps. Transfer complete, run. And so now, oops, was I sharing my screen for that? Yeah. So now when we press the red button, or I'm sorry, when we press the green button, now the red light turns on. So you see how easy it is to change what output you want, right? So now let's say that we want to use the selector switch, right? This bottom switch here, the X004, right? So right here, we would change to X004, change that. And then we'll keep this. Well, actually, let's change the light. We'll do Y003. So you can see it's super easy to change outputs and inputs on this. So now we're going to write project. And we're going to download it to our PLC. Run. And so now we'll test it. So when we now, the green button isn't doing anything, right? We haven't assigned anything to it. Same with the red. Same with that, right? So now only the toggle, when it gets turned on, will turn on that light, right? And right here, when we turn it off, you can see that light turns off. So it's just like a toggle, right? It's on or off. And you can see it again. Let me show you right here, better view, off, on. And so right there, that's your basic normally open contact. So now let me show you guys a normally closed contact, right? And how that works. So right here, let's change this to a normally closed, right? And let's start first with X001. So you guys understand the behavior and how the physical wiring of the switch matters and what type of switch it is, right? So X001 is a normally open, right? So normally there is no electricity running through this X001 green button, right? So when we now download this program at PLC, the light will turn on until we press the green button, right? So you'll see the behavior right now. So let's go ahead and download this. And transfer complete, run. So you go. You see the light turned on because I've assigned a digital normally closed contact. So that means that normally, without any intervention, the electricity is flowing to this Y003, which is associated with the yellow light, right? So now when we press the green button, the light turns off and you can see the continuity in the PLC. Now it stops flowing to the Y003, right? So right there's an example of how the physical matters and what we're assigning digitally to it. So now, for example, let's see how the X002 button works, right? So X002 button, if we were to assign this normally close with the X002, and let's go ahead and download this. Writing it to the PLC, complete, run. And so now you see, because this is a normally close and this button is a normally close button, it's kind of like they cancel each other out. So there is no current flow to Y003, right? Until, of course, we press Y002, and now we change the state. Now it becomes closed and it goes and it turns the light on, right? So right there, again, depends on the physical wiring of the switch, how you're going to assign the bits, whether it be a normally open or normally closed, right? Just be aware that all start or green buttons are always normally open and all stop or red buttons are normally closed. Okay, that's a standard out there in the field. So now we know how to put a normally open contact, normally closed contact, how we do an out, right? That's an output. So now what we can do, one more thing we can go over is how to do parallel, right? So how to do more than one light, right? And let's simplify this. So we'll switch this out to a normally open contact. And we're going to do that with the green button. Switch that. Right here, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this line right here. And this is the first time you click on this is like a little help guide on how to draw parallel lines. But basically, you click on the arrow. You click on the arrow that you want to keep drawing. Here, what we want is to go and let's see here. So I don't want it to. I don't want to do that. Let's see here. 1 second. And let's put Y001 on that. So I'll have both the, I want to erase this line. Well, right there. Okay, that's what I wanted. So right here, go back to cursor. So right here, when I press the green button, right, we'll have continuity flow to both Y003 and also to Y001. So both those lights will turn on. Go ahead and write the project. And so, right, with PLCs, it really speeds up what you can do. What are the parameters you can change? What are the characteristics? What are the times? What's the sequence? What's the process? So you have an infinite amount of flexibility when it comes to PLCs. So now when we press that, we can see both lights will turn on, right? And same thing with the software. You can see both outputs will turn on as well, right? And let me give you a better view right there, right? So that's an initial lesson. Again, it's just getting the basics down, normally open, normally close, what an output is. On the other videos, I will discuss a timer. I will discuss counters. I will also discuss drum functions and some basic math. And we'll go from there. All right, guys. So thank you for your time, and please let me know if you have any suggestions or if you want me to cover something specifically. I can try and make a video for that. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.